lovelies, I'm here for another dollar store video because you guys voted for it. So that is what I'm giving you today. Today we're doing a shop with me and then I'm going to give you some art hacks. I do want to say that in the video I mentioned a few different projects, but when I first edited this video together it was over an hour long. So I'm actually breaking it down. You're going to get one little art hack at the end on how to turn eyeshadow palettes into paint. And then I'm also additionally going to be posting a second video that has additional art hacks on Tuesday. So be sure to subscribe so you catch it if you're not already subscribed. And you guys voted for this video, so you know, I love using the community tab. If you haven't seen it on my channel, go to community tab and you can vote for which videos you want to see. You can vote for what you like to see more of on this channel. You can leave me comments. It's just a great way to engage with me and I definitely follow all of your suggestions. So let's get shopping. I always start off in this section because there's always some good finds. Today, these little succulents. So they're not as nice as the ones that I've previously bought from Michael's, but they are still pretty awesome. They have some vibrant color and the plastic on these aren't too bad. I use these to decorate my shelves in my studio. The moss here and this little basket stuff can actually work really well in little terrariums. So the plant section always has a lot of stuff. I'm here today specifically to look for a glass and or a mug to do an acrylic paint pen review with. Also these really cool ribbons. I always check out just in case there's something I really like, but I find that the length per spool is not worth the price of $1. It actually is cheaper to go to Hobby Lobby and get a full spool for a little bit more than $1, but it's more for your buck. I always check out the stencils. I don't use stencils, but I think they're fun and it gives me new ideas. And these cute little travel ones were adorable. There's also some really cool stickers. I love looking at the different stickers that they have. Again, I don't use a lot of stickers, but I like picking up new ideas, and especially with these ones that look kind of like watercolory, they're very much my vibe. And of course some little road trip ones. Those are cute. I like those a lot. This is my first time noticing some fabric, or at least some felted fabric. So I've seen fabric in here before, but not the felt rolls. And this feels like a pretty good roll of fabric for $1. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a couple of these and I'm going to use them in my bus to line my shelves with. As always, there's like popsicle sticks and different things you can use. Oh, there's actually some different fabric here that I haven't seen before, so I'm going to go ahead and take a look through these and see if they can work for a project that I'm going to be working on coming up. Looks like a lot of holiday stuff, but oh, yep, there's other stuff in here as well, which is great. Those little travel trailers will totally fit my vibe. Oh, and some sunflowers. That's really nice down here at the bottom. Definitely gonna get one of those. So I think I'm gonna use this fabric probably to wrap my jewelry in when I'm shipping. I've been using tissue paper, but I'm not super happy with it. Some Thanksgiving fabric here. And this one looks like a road tripping fabric. Maybe a Route 66 fabric. Might take that as well. Oh hey, look, they have chalkboard paint. So I actually haven't noticed these before. I don't know if they're new or if I just haven't seen them, but they are carving tools, which is really cool. And of course I'm going to check out the canvas, see what they've got. They've actually expanded their paint section since the last time I was here. And for today's project, I'm going to pick up some acrylic paint. Be sure you grab acrylic paint for today's project, not tempera paint, because because they are different. I'm also going to need some pump spray bottles. They've got plenty of those here today, so I'm going to grab quite a few of those. And they actually have some nice brush sets, which I'm really surprised about, so I'm going to grab some of those as well. I do use the paint palettes too. I'm not grabbing them today, but I have grabbed them previously. As always, I recommend checking out books. If you missed my how to make your own journal out of dollar store books, go ahead and check that out. I'll link it in the description box below. Here's some cute little trays that would make great paintbrush holders. I really loved the design and patterns on these mugs and bowls, and they have enough white space that you could do some text on them. But I'm going to pick up this plain white mug for my future project with acrylic paint pens. I'm also going to grab some alcohol, and I'm picking up some eyeshadows, and those are both for our project today. It's always nice to check out some toothbrushes as well, because there's some really cool projects you can do with toothbrushes, and we'll talk about that later. And then toothbrush holders, again, we'll talk about that later. While I was here, there was some fuzzy socks, so I grabbed a few pairs of those. Couldn't help myself. There's some really fun stickers. Again, I don't buy a lot of stickers, but I love the ideas. These holographic stickers are so popular right now, and I love looking at them. They're so pretty. Briefly checking out the pens. I've got quite a few pens, but I have talked about them in previous dollar store videos. I do still occasionally check out the felt tip pens because those are good to use sometimes. Look at these cute little stickers. Cute animals and food, I can't help myself. I'm not going to grab any of this today, but I do have a tutorial. I haven't filmed it yet, but if you guys are interested, I would love to share a tutorial on how to take dollar store supplies and make a light box. So if you're interested in that, please let me know in the comments below. I'm going to grab a few office supplies while I'm here. I'm running low on paper clips, so I'm going to grab those. I always check the office supplies just in case. They're not always the best quality, but you never know what you're going to find. This is book cover paper, which I'm not sure if this is going to work or not, but I'm going to buy these and maybe try a different project with those at a later date. Of course, these felt tip pens that I love. And I really enjoy the wall decals. The ones that I bought from the previous dollar store videos that I've done actually worked really well, and I've peeled them off and restuck them multiple times, and they all still work, which is crazy. I expected it to be lower quality, but it actually is really awesome. And this Wild and Free one is so cute. This frame is a holographic frame. I haven't seen that before. I'm totally getting this and maybe doing a laser cut project with it. It can be really fun frame to use. I always check the gift cards for ideas. I went back to what I showed you at the very beginning where the nautical rope was, and I think that this feels like macrame does. It's a little bit thicker, but I'm going to try to unweave it and then reweave it and play around with it and see if I can get it to work like macrame. I always pick up a couple of these for my wood round displays. They are great for craft fair displays. And take a quick peek through the frame. Look at this, so funny. And lastly, this little bag I thought was really cute. It's got like a watercolor style to it, and it would be great to hold pens and pencils in, or maybe even paintbrushes. Well, hello everyone, we are back in the studio. Now I'm going to be trying some little DIY hacks with the things that we got from the dollar store. So I'm going to jump right in here. The first thing that I'm going to try is taking this eyeshadow palette that I got and turning it into, well, first testing it out as if it was just a pastel, and then I am also going to try to mix it with a binding element to make it into a paint, like a watercolor paint, and see how that turns out. So this is an experiment. I honestly don't know how this is going to turn out. I have an idea, like a rough idea, but it is something that I haven't seen done. I've seen eyeshadow palettes being broken up and added to other expensive binders. So for example, I've seen it chopped up and used with gum Arabic, or Arabic gum, which is from Winsor & Newton, and I honestly don't know how much that is, but it is a more expensive art supply than something you could get at a dollar store. But I bought these wedges, so I actually want to use these for my makeup, so I'm not going to use too many of them. I also want to use them on another art project, so I'm going to save these. I also am going to use this most likely on the bus, a few of the cabinets that I'm doing and a few of the other projects that I'm doing. I think these could be really useful. I had never seen them before at my dollar store, so I was actually really excited about these because I've been buying foam from Home Depot and cutting it up. So excited to have like a pre-cut wedge that was only $1. So we're gonna try spreading with these, and then additionally I bought this pack of the little ones with handles, which is essentially the same foam, but it's a little bit more compact, and it's on a handle. So I actually want to use these for makeup. So I'm only going to use 3 of them, so it might get a little messy, but I don't want to waste too many of them. I want to actually use these for the purpose they're intended for. Alright, so as I said before, I've seen it mixed with gum Arabic, which is available from Winsor & Newton, and it produced a very light, shimmery watercolor. For today, I wanted to try things that you can get at the dollar store. So we are going to try some Elmer's glue, and then we're also going to try Mod Podge. Both of these are not from the dollar store because it's actually cheaper to buy them in bulk, because the dollar store doesn't sell these big containers of Mod Podge, they only sell the tiny ones, and these big containers end up being cheaper per fluid ounce if you buy them from Hobby Lobby than they are at the dollar store. And that's how the dollar store makes money, is cases like that where they'll sell you a small bottle of something for more per fluid ounce than if you bought it in bulk. So anyways, these are 2 things that I'm going to try to be the binding agent for this when I work on the paint section, and we'll see how it goes. So I also got this paint palette, not this past trip, but actually 2 trips before. I bought a pack of little palettes at the dollar store, and I use them for a variety of things, and they have been a very worthwhile investment. The other thing that I don't have it here with me, but I also got little containers in the previous dollar store video, and I would recommend using those if this ends up turning out, and you'll know that because you're going to watch this video before you do it yourself. Then I would actually recommend putting it in those because they have a little cover, and so then you can actually see how they keep, because that's something I will not be testing, is whether they keep over time or if they're going to dry out. I'm not sure, and I have no reason to kind of save them other than just experimentation, but I don't have any of those containers that I want to use for this project, so I am just going to go ahead and jump right in here and we'll test this out for today. So I'm using a knife to kind of break it up. I really want to try as much as possible to keep the pigments in their own containers. I'm going to try out the white. I actually have no high hopes for the white. I don't think it's going to have enough pigment to be able to do what it needs to as if it was paint, but we're gonna see what happens, because I might be pleasantly surprised. It might add a nice, like a silver sheen to it maybe. It's more of like a dark gray with a blue tone in it. It's actually a little bit thicker than the other ones. I'm just making a huge mess. But, you know, that's all part of having fun and trying new things and playing around with materials you've never played with before. Mistakes happen, not everybody's perfect. I really want to try this silver, dark grayish silver. And then lastly, this really vibrant blue, because it's probably got the most saturated color out of this entire palette. So that's what I'm going to try out for today. So So first let's see how the pigments just look just on their own. Yeah, so very muted, very light. Just kind of what I expected. Not a lot of pigment in these. And that's why they're cheaper eyeshadows, because they don't have a lot of pigment in them. And pigment is what the most expensive part. Well, one of the most expensive parts when it comes to paints. Alright, so this is our just plain straight from the container swatches. So you could definitely blend these and do a pastel. Like I would use them probably to make kind of like a sky. But again, it would be very muted, and you'd probably have to still use a real pastel for the white, because there's just absolutely no pigment in the white that's going to make it stand out. Or just use the natural white from the page itself and leave your clouds that way. It's definitely doable and usable as a pastel. Alright. So now I'm going to get into the binding agent portion of it. And rather than do all 6 with Elmer's glue and all 6 with Mod Podge, I'm kind of just going to do 3 with Mod Podge and 3 with the Elmer's glue and see what turns out best. There's no really easy way to do this. So I'm just going to take a spoon and spoon in some Mod Podge. I'm going to do the Mod Podge first. I'm also going to add in just a dash of water. I'm going to use some toothpicks to blend it. I think I made a mistake here. I probably should have ground up the eyeshadow a little bit more than I did. Because I'm creating these kind of chunky consistencies that I'm not really fond of, but I also added a little bit too much water to that one. I'm gonna just try to mix this with a spoon and smush up some of these chunks a little bit more. I think it would have been a little bit easier to mix it on the in the containers that I mentioned earlier. If I can find a screenshot of those from the last video, I'll show them here so that you know what they look like. There we go, that's the consistency I was thinking of. Which, amazing how gray the black turned out. So I'm actually gonna wipe this down before I go on to the next color. The other thing that's different about these versus using the gum Arabic is that the gum Arabic can be reused. So that's what you would really use to create a reusable watercolor palette. I found a really interesting tutorial, and I will link that in the description box below, because she goes into more detail about how to make your own watercolor palette with eyeshadows. They do turn out really transparent like this when she does it, but it's still kind of fun to play with, and I think personally comes out better than if you were to just buy the watercolor palettes from the store, because you can actually mix your own colors. Alright, this is getting a little out of control. Alright, so I'm first going to use actually one of these little brushes to go ahead and test this. Alright, this is using the sponge, and then let's go ahead and try using a paintbrush. These are the paintbrushes that I bought from the dollar store. I wish I paid a little bit more attention because this set has the longer brush, which I'm not really a fan of, but this set has that little teeny tiny brush, which is normally what I would lean towards, and I'm going to use that in the next project I show. But we use this one for now. So I would say the purple definitely has a little bit too much water in it. Okay, so I was able to get a pretty decent saturation with that first one. I'm using it kind of thickly, and so I'm not doing like a huge swatch. See, you lose that saturation when you do too much. But I'm gonna see how this dries, and we'll see how it comes out. I'm gonna keep going forward. All right, so a little bit too much blue got in this white, so it is kind of a little bit jaded. I mean, a little bit tainted by that blue, but I don't even think, yeah, it's kind of really faint. I honestly don't think it would do anything if it didn't have that little bit of blue in it. It's just not a very strong pigment, which I've seen from the paints that come from the dollar store in general. The acrylic white paints don't hold a lot of pigment either, just because of the lack of pigment in that shade. Let's try the black. I have a feeling this is going to actually turn out pretty nice, like the purple. Yeah. So this I'm actually pretty impressed with. There's quite a bit of pigment, and it looks more black on paper than it does in the little container here. I think that's a pretty strong success. I'm quite impressed by that, actually. Look at that. That's quite impressive. Alright. So I would say out of those three, the black is definitely the strongest. Let's go ahead and try the blues with a little bit of Elmer's glue instead. I'm going to try to learn from my mistakes with the Mod Podge and do this a little bit more controlled, hopefully. The Elmer's glue is a little bit thicker, so I think I'm going to have to add a little bit more water to the Elmer's glue. I'm going to try one first, because I'm not quite sure how much water I'm going to need. Tiger. I'm working right now. I'm gonna see how this paints because it's pretty thick, which I think will produce like a nicer paint result. But it's not mixing as well as the Mod Podge did. So let's see how this looks. This one, I believe. Hi, honey. So that's interesting. It looks thicker in the palette, but it actually is pretty pastel-y and loose still. I'm not really impressed with that consistency, so I think that the Mod Podge is going to be a bit more successful. Yeah, I'm just not getting the result that I want. So I am actually going to use the Mod Podge for the other two. I really think that's the better option. Alright, so I actually think that's pretty dang good. Not as good as the black. I would say the black is probably still the best all-around color coverage, but it's still pretty strong, much stronger than the other blues. And the light blue has actually started to dry a little bit more. Let's see if the Elmer's glue might, yeah, so the Elmer's glue might work better after it starts to dry a little bit. It's still kind of too chunky. And lastly, let's try this silver. I want to try to get the blue out of it that I spilt. Alright, so of course my camera battery died when I seemed to get the perfect consistency of water. I think I caught the first part. So I didn't add any more water to this. So this seems to be the best consistency. And I just mixed it with a spoon, same as the other ones. So that's pretty solid. So these actually turned out a lot darker than I thought they would. Let's see if I can get a nice close-up here. Let's see if the camera will... Oh yay, it's gonna work with me today. So I still think that the black is probably still the best pigment out of all of them. But I'm actually quite impressed with the purple and with the blues. Even the gray turned out kind of nice. So this is actually a much better DIY than I originally anticipated. This could be a lot of fun to play around with because there's a lot more color options available in eyeshadow colors at the dollar store than there is in acrylic paints. Obviously, this isn't necessarily going to be archival, but you know, it's a great workaround, great for practicing, for having fun. And look at the nice shimmer it has. It's like working with metallic watercolors. Except for because these are done with the glues, they're probably going to have a longer stay than the metallic watercolors because they won't be able to be reactivated. Now that is something you'd have to consider if you want to use your eyeshadows and conserve them. You're definitely going to want to mix at a different ratio than I did because these are probably just going to be trash now because Mod Podge, once it dries, and Elmer's glue is not going to be that great for reusing. It's just going to be a thick mess. So, but I mean, I'm really excited about this black. I just think that's really great. And it's got a nice sheen to it, and the coverage is great. So this is really exciting. Really cool. A successful DIY. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope that you found the shop with me and all the tips and tricks that I offered today helpful. Be sure to subscribe if you aren't already. I'll have a second video coming Tuesday with the second half of the original art hacks that I mentioned. So be sure to tune in on Tuesday to see those. And until next time, remember to create love and travel on. See you next week. Bye!